I think I did, but I don't. Anyway, I don't remember. And then, of course, I ended the year with Dragon Quest, and
That
that's
was
going
in
to be
December,
super.
right? That was in
Yeah,
December that was
yeah.
released.
And I just finished like I don't know last week, something like that. Like because it's I warned you of this. It's the type of what do you call it, monster collecting or whatever.
Monster Taming, yeah.
Taming, okay. It's the type where you cannot have an affinity or relationship with your team. You can't. And if you do, you're going to get to the very first boss who will destroy you. And I mean it. Like you're actually, and this is a design flaw. It's not normal that you're progressing, you're easily defeating anything out in the field, you're recruiting, you're doing all this sort of stuff, and then you get to the very first story boss. And I'm not talking about like the tournaments or stuff. You'll easily go through all of that, but you'll get to the very first story boss, and I'm not kidding. You're gonna feel like you're 30 levels under power. Like you're gonna get just destroyed. And this has always been a problem with DQM since day one. Like it's always been a problem because, and I understand. I don't know how they fix it, and clearly they don't know how to fix it either. Um, if you make the overworld require like too strong, then you're going to have a hard time taming or capturing or whatever terminology you want to use. You're going to have a hard time getting those monsters. Like they've never figured this out. This has always been a problem where you have a traditional RPG over, right? So it's like that's one layer of the cake, and in it is 100% classic, right? Like it's 100% classic DQ where you've got your story, you've got bosses, dungeons, the classic thing, but they've layered a monster taming like portion of this into that. So like your main character can't fight, so uses monsters to fight, but those monsters you have to be able to collect, right? And then they have their own level up trees, they have their own skills, they have their own, moves and all of this sort of stuff. But they've always struggled, I found anyway, and people argue, and that's fine. Um, when they merge these two components together, they always struggle with that. Like every DQM, you're going to get to a point where you're going to hit a roadblock and it's going to punch you in the face
Yeah.
because they want you to I think what is it, synthesize? Yeah, they want you to synthesize the monsters as quickly as possible. But if you do that, then you're so OP for the field, like where the monsters actually are, you'll be fine for the story. Like you'll progress through. You still have a challenge. Like don't get me wrong, it's not a pushover. But then the monster taming component becomes a total pushover. So like I've always found that they've never hit the perfect balance. The closest they ever got was Joker 3, which I don't even think that was available here.
No.
But anyways, whatever. So what about you? Did you give up yet? Have you sold it?
No, I've played 45 minutes of it, but like
And that's it?
the intro is like 30 minutes. No, last night I played for like after I put the kids to bed, and then I was tired, so I went to bed. And this morning I went like every Wednesday I put them at school at 8:30, and then I go do the grocery shopping and come back at 9:30. Like I was just making sure this would work because I'm a huge technology idiot like so I wanted to make sure I was ready for this, so I'm gonna go back to it. But I think Dragon Quest Monsters is like the monster taming jar is a thing. People don't realize it because a lot of people, what they do is whenever they see a monster taming game, they call it a Pokemon ripoff for some reason.
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
like you're not allowed to make a monster taming game. Like I'm a huge Pokemon fan, but I know that they did not invent this. But
Mhm.
Dragon Quest and Shin
Yeah,
Tegami
Megami
Tensei,
Tensei.
whatever.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
those came before, and they had monster taming elements in those. I
yeah.
think it's Pokemon is very different, and in my opinion, Pokemon like is for me is the superior type of monster taming games
Mhm.
that I like, but I also like to explore other games. And this for me is more of a hardcore. I know there are more hardcore games than DQ Monsters in the jar, but it's a more hardcore. Like I don't think they necessarily do a good job of explaining to you how important the synergy system is
Yeah,
in
I
the game.
agree.
They probably don't
Yeah.
do it, and a lot of players probably like me try this expecting a Pokemon similar game, like I did with Koromon and Nexomon, both monster taming games, but those are Pokemon inspired games all the way. They're basically
Yeah.
exactly the same with a new set of monsters, some new rules here and there. And I really enjoyed them because I can play those easily.
Mhm.
There's a higher difficulty curve, of course, but if you know the system, you can you can go through them rather easily and have fun like I did. This is another type of monster, like Shin Megami Tensei 4. I played. It's a different type of game, but it's still monster taming. Monster taming. But
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
this game, uh, I don't know. I've watched a few guides because I played it for 45 minutes yesterday and I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, obviously, it's not difficult right now. I'm just in the field, but I'm like, should I catch every monster? What should I do? And
Yes.
I listened
Yes.
to, I watched a few tips and tricks videos, and they did say catch every monster, but just even watching those, which are beginner tips, I was just overwhelmed with information. I'm like,
Yeah,
holy,
don't do that. Just
and
call me.
it's just beginner stuff. It's just simple
Mm.
stuff, but there's so much information that I'm like, oh my God. Because I'm a type of guy that when I play a game, I like to not necessarily be great at it, but I like to know what I'm doing. I like to feel like,
Mm.
okay, I'm playing a game smart, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, I would need like to watch like 10 hours of videos just
Yeah,
to
but
be
don't
able
do
to
that.
understand this
No,
game.
but don't
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm gonna
like
slowly get into it, but I mean the learning curve of this game, oh my God. And this is not like this is a Super NES game or whatever. It's in 2023, now 2024. So games have like improved in the way to teach the
mm,
player.
mm.
And it seems like this game is still struggling that. But like I said, I've only played 45 minutes, but so far greatly intimidated by it. I'm gonna keep at it. Obviously, I like monster taming games. I have a bit of a problem. Like when I play Pokemon or Koromon or Nexomon, I usually find the monsters interesting and I catch them and I want to play.
Mm.
In Dragon Quest monsters, the problem is these are all monsters you've seen in other Dragon Quest
Yeah.
games. And they don't look like the type of monsters I would like to be friends with, you know? Like when
Yeah,
Pokemon,
yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
catch Pokemon, it's like, wow, there's a cosmetic aspect to what I decide to bring in my team. When I play a new game, I don't know what the Pokemon are. I see one, oh, that
Mm.
looks cool. I want to join. With Dragon Quest Monsters, even though I know you need to switch constantly, there's never like a point in time where I say, wow, this monster looks cool. I want it on my team. It's just like
Yeah, yeah.
this to me,
Yeah.
these are XP fodders in regular RPGs that now have. So maybe that's an issue. Like I never really feel uh I don't know what to say, feel the
Mm.
need or attachment to these monsters, but
Yeah, yeah. And
I'll keep
you and I
playing
should
and
do we should do a whole discussion, I think, because we never did. Like when I first got in to Pokemon, we never did an actual
yeah,
video.
the Pokemon like your original review of Pokemon Red and Yellow, or was it Yellow, was amazing because you
Yeah.
said something I thought was perfect. You said deceptively simple Pokemon. You
Yeah.
said something like that. And
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
because Pokemon really is a beginner RPG. If you want to get like no, most people can play that game, can just level up. It's funny though because they've introduced these 7-star raids in these games, and they're really
Mhm.
hard. And most people, what they do is when they play that, they complain after that it's too hard. And
Mhm.
all you hear about is Pokemon is easy. What it is. If you played a single
Mhm.
player game, it's not meant to be a challenge. I wish
Yeah.
there was ways to improve it. There are personally, but then there are other things like if you play competitively, like the VGC, which I love and stuff like that. In these 7-star raids, you actually
Mhm.
need to build your monsters
Well,
in a separate
and that's the
way to be
thing.
able to complete. And usually you need teamwork and people like I've played with random people and it's just the stories I could tell of these 7-star raids. I don't think you've ever tried a 7-star raid, but it's something really unique to Scarlet and Violet that I've really enjoyed since it's been released. But anyway, it's just Pokemon is a separate type. Like it has many layers of challenge.
Mm,
The main game it's not really challenging, but there are other aspects of it. You can have your own challenge. While a
mm.
game like Dragon Quest Monsters, it's I find it funny that there's a competitive scene to it. For me, I find that this is a type of game I don't know why you would want to play competitively. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it, so maybe but it doesn't seem attracted to me. But the single player seems like it's something that's a challenge and it's meant to be a challenge. So there's different types of monster taming games.
Yeah, 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 and I'm right there with you. I'm not. I mean, I'm not a big competitive anything, but like, yeah, that's well said. Where it's really when you have finished everything, literally everything, then the sort of meta sort of game underneath is really in the synergies. Like you need to maximize everything, like literally every single stat you need to, which is very similar to Pokemon with like the bottle caps and all this sort of stuff, right? Like of
Yeah,
how
but I
you,
mean, in Pokemon, like you can take any random Pokemon in the wild and you can max them out in like
no,
five
no,
minutes
a hundred
with
percent. No,
candy,
no, yeah,
and
yeah,
there's gonna be no advantages whatsoever, you know.
yeah,
But in this game, I'm guessing that you probably need to spend hours and hours fusioning
yes.
monsters
Yeah,
to
yeah,
then
that's
go
my, yeah,
online
yeah.
and
No,
have.
100%, 100%. I'm actually like, I'm not even saying like I agree with you. Like I don't really understand because you would maximize the base stats and then you would pull in the move stats that you want to use. And I never understood that because it would take hundreds of hours to do everything. And like, so yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to give you like, if you do truly, I can give you like a beginner sort of course. I know you wanna like learn, I get that, but I wouldn't bother. There's a couple of very simple tips I can give you when you're doing the synergies and stuff like that. But the way this is designed, it's like just mix and see what comes out of it. Like that's
Yeah.
basically it. Like, well, you haven't
Because
gotten into.
I quickly checked and I saw that each monster has different weaknesses and strengths, and it's like two different types. I don't know if there's types in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
game,
yeah,
but I'm like, oh my God, there's like a million things to learn. I'm like,
yeah.
okay,
But so that's
I'm
what I'm
used to
saying. So like,
my Pokemon,
yeah,
like there's 17 types and like
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
18 types, and then you have your rock, paper, scissors type of thing.
yeah,
It's more
exactly.
complicated,
But
but
it's
it's a
not
huge grid. But in this game, like I don't even know which monsters to put on my team and which to not. It's like I know I don't need to
because
worry
yeah.
about
So
that, but it's still my Pokemon brain is working against me. But there's still like I want to I don't know when I see monsters like you have to scout them and then hopefully they join you. There's other ways to make them join you also, but it just I don't know. I'll see. I need to keep playing and catch it.
yeah,
Like
what I'll tell
the
you.
first tip I saw was catch everything you see if you can,
Yes,
and that's
yeah,
something I can identify with because I do that in Pokemon as well. So I'm gonna
yeah.
try to capture every new creature I get and hopefully fusion them later.
But I'll tell you right now, like with the types and stuff, ignore it. That kind of stuff is all multiplayer, like all of that. So like you can have a fire water as just as like I'm making up like just so for an example for you because you know Pokemon so well. If you were to take these two types, yes, there will be an advantage, but because you're leveling and you're learning different move sets and you're going to start synthesizing and stuff, it's negligible. It doesn't matter until you get into the competitive scene, and that's where that layer starts to come in, where it's like, okay, well, wait a second now, because once everybody has all the same stat boosts, everybody has all the different move sets, all that kind of stuff, that's the complexity. It's like, okay, well, now we also have to take this into consideration, but you don't treat it like any other DQ. If you treat it like that, but remove the main character and put in monsters, and that's why they did it like, well, it's not why they did it like that, but that's the concept. The
Mhm.
concept is that the monsters aren't your team. They're not a team. It's a means to an end.
Yeah.
And it's only when you get, I would say, halfway through it that you're going to start to actually create, because you're going to get used to certain move sets and stuff that you'll like, that and like with me, when like about the halfway point, you can start to create rank S tier monsters, which are all the old bosses of the DQ series. And that's just cool. Like it's just like Dual Megath, right? From
Hmm.
DQ8. How cool is it to have him be like
When
one
you
of
fight
your
when you fight bosses, should you try to scout them or is it worthless
you
because
can't. They won't
you
let
can't?
you.
Okay.
No, they won't let you. But just be warned, like once you open up the synthesis and you have like a rank G and a rank F or whatever, you'll see there's two options. You can do one which is like just regular search, okay, and that what that does is it opens up your bank and you can mix any ones you want together. I would recommend, here's a pro tip, don't even bother using that. The second one is reverse search. And so what that does is it says, based on all the monsters you have, this is what you can build. Like these are the ones that you can fuse together and will give you the greatest results. And you can sort it by attack power, you can sort it
Yeah,
by
yeah.
rank, you can sort it, and that's what I recommend all noobs do
I
with
watched
this.
a fusion guide and it was like there's tons of stats that can carry over the best ways to do,
Yeah,
and I
screw
was
it.
just like
Just no, no,
overwhelmed
no.
because
No, 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 no.
the ability points or whatever it's called, affinity points, they carry over like 1/4 of I don't know. It was
Yeah, yeah. Don't no. Just ignore all of this. Like as you're going through, just have fun. Like for me, it was more cool to be like because right now you're dealing with all the generics and they're boring. They're boring. Like the monsters, there's nothing like who cares? There's nothing special. But it's once you start to get further and you start to get like I'd say like rank, say like B, somewhere around there. That's where you're going to be like, oh, okay, I remember this. This was like, like the first boss of like DQ8. The guy that the orb fell and hit him on the head or whatever. Like when you capture that dude, I don't know. For me, it's the nostalgia, right? Like it's like, oh, I remember. Yeah, that was yeah, all right, that's cool. And it's there where you look online and you're like, okay, how would I make whatever, someone. For me, the big one that really got me was God. The fact that you can make the Almighty, I died of laughter. I was like, only in this game can I have God on my party. Like, it was so ridiculous. Like, it was just so ridiculous. But that's the series, right? Like, that's the whole thing is being silly, being stupid, and just, having fun with that. And I don't expect you to stay with this for long. I really don't, because I think like the minute you get to that first boss, you're gonna get so frustrated. But
yeah.
as long as you listen to what I'm saying about like synthesize and stuff like that, I think you'll be okay. But I forgot. It's been years, right? Like when was the last time one of these was released?
And
Like
here in our yeah, Joker 2 here, you played the Japanese ones, but here I think it
I
was
played,
Joker
yeah,
2.
I played Joker 3, but like even Joker 3, what was that? Like 2012, something
Yeah.
like that. So it's been years. So I mean, I know I opened up synthesis, I went in and I made a few dudes, but I was like, okay, well, I gotta, this is another pro tip, actually. Think of it. What do you need in an RPG? Like, think of it like a four-player RPG. What is the standard that you always get? A healer, right? Usually a physical attacker, a wizard type of thing, and then it depends, right? Like then the fourth character is usually whatever. Do that.
Okay.
That
Because
should be
right
your
now I don't
objective.
even know what monsters are. Like I don't know who's a healer, who's a physical attack. I imagine it's not hard to figure out. But like I
Well,
said,
actually, well, you'll see when you open up a synthesis, like you can specify like the different skills that you want,
Okay.
which make it a lot easier. Because like for me, I know the series, right? So first thing I'm looking is for like a heal slime, a cure slime. I'm exploring the world for those, and I'm not going to synthesize those because I want to make sure I keep the talents that they have. But that's where, and
Like
again, it's
what
not
you just
complicated.
said, like doesn't make sense to me. So I'm overwhelmed. Why aren't you synthesizing those? You want to keep the talents for what?
No, it's not. It, you're right. You're right. What you just said, you're right. It's it's just that for me, when I first started, like I'm just saying, like the things that I went to first was like, okay, well, I'm gonna need someone to heal us. I'm gonna need someone to do like magical attacks, and I'm gonna need someone to do like physical attacks. So you've played the series, so you're not like a complete noob. You know
That's
which.
debatable.
No, come on. Like you know
Dragon
that
Quest
like
11 was when? 2016, 2015,
oof,
2017? Oh no,
it's hold on.
The Switch came out in 2017, so it has to be maybe 2018, 2019,
Let's
2018
see.
probably, or
It's been a
2019,
while now. Okay, well, the original was 2017. God, I can't
2017. Yeah.
believe it's been that long, man. Wow. Where's the Switch? 2019.
2019. Okay, so that yeah,
So anyway,
that's
but my
a
point,
long time ago.
yeah, but if an enemy has a sword, the chances are it's going to be a physical attacker. Just saying, right? But you're right. You're right. Like, so your cure slime, right? Like, it might have um, healing. Like, it might have like a whole talent tree or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but like a skill set, whatever, that will start at like level one. You know, it'll unlock heal. Level five, it'll unlock something else. Whatever. Blah blah blah. You can take that whole thing and when you synthesize it with another one, you can tell that new one to keep these skills. And but the thing was, I didn't because in my brain, the dude with the sword is not supposed to heal.
Okay.
I was. It took me a while to be like, okay, Jared, stop, just stop. And this is where the creativity comes in and the flexibility comes in because you can take any monster and add any skill to it. So that's where the really complex nature for the multiplayer comes in. So think of your Squirtle and Charmander, if we go all the way back, right? You could give Charmander all water skills, right? And so when you get online, no one is going to expect that. Like nobody, no one
Well,
is going to expect.
you can't really, but I
No,
think
no,
I
no.
get what
But I'm
you're
saying
saying.
like if we were to use that analogy,
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
DQM, you could do that type of thing. It would be kind of
Okay.
stupid to do that, but you could
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that. So,
No,
anyways,
I just need to play more and then give
yeah,
up
but keep
after
me
15
posted. You didn't
minutes.
even tell me that you started. Like, shoot
Well, I
me.
told you yesterday I was gonna start.